Stay Alive 2006 is about some young adults playing a game where if they die in the game, they die in real life. This horror movie is directed by William Brett Bell and written by him as well as Matthew Peterman. It stars some people including Frankie Muniz, Sophia Bush, and one of the McPoyles. As a kid, I found this movie really, really creepy, and it would be in my movie rotation alongside Scooby Doo 2 and Skinamax, if y'all remember those times. But taking off the rose tinted glasses and having watched the movie as an adult recently, I can say that it is a fun watch that is ultimately led down by its CGI, as there's lots of gaming scenes where the characters just touch all the buttons like maniacs, and it's also led down by its its wonky storytelling and its bland main characters. The only fun one is McPoyle. But rewatching this movie made me realize my love for the mid horror movie. And it doesn't get more mid than this. I think there's a stigma about the word mid. It's seen that as soon as something is labeled mid, then it's automatically bad. But mid just means middle, mediocre. It's neither bad nor good. I love mid horror movies. As I watch these types of movies, I don't really have to use 100% of my brain power, you know? It's the best popcorn flick that can be offered. A lot of these movies, such as Stay Alive, Freddy vs. Jason, Annabelle Comes Home, Urban Legend, I Know We Did Last Summer, the list goes on. I love them. That does come with a caveat, as I only hate a mid horror movie that has wasted its potential and never capitalized on that potential, such as La Llorona from 2019 or The Nun, where they have a great concept, a great villain, a lot to pull from, like from folklore like The Llorona, and they just go and ruin it. They're just disappointments. Now, sometimes some movies are dead on arrival because of the concept usually being awful, and when the execution is way better than it has any right being, like the movie Christine I just seen by John Carpenter. The premise about a killer car is kind of ridiculous, but it's executed very well. Where mid horror movies are generally movies with insane concepts that, if they're not executed well, then they're either bad movies or they're mid movies. And the epitome of such idea is Stay Alive. The concept of a horror movie where if you die in the game, you die in real life is kind of dumb, but I can see why it was greenlit, as two different groups of people are targeted, right? The gamers and the horror watchers. The concept is admittedly so much fun, but this movie does the bare minimum with this idea. I think that it could have been pushed way further than it inevitably was. I do like that both the game world and the real world are connected, as there just could be so much more done, is all I'm saying. Speaking of the game itself, I would love to play it. It genuinely looks like a great game. I mean, look at this gameplay. What makes this movie mid is the sum of its parts. There are no great characters. Well, I mean, their names are great, such as October, Swing, Hutch, Phineas, Loomis, Abigail. Like these could be iconic characters. They're not written very distinctly as their names are. Jimmy Simpson is the only one that really gives his character some actually great acting and some personality. The story is okay, and the movie doesn't do anything to truly stand out, in my opinion. I truly believe that if this movie took some wild swings in the storytelling and we had some bloody kills, and this movie wasn't PG-13, that for whatever reason it was PG-13, should have been rated R, whether it's because the movie is a product of Disney and the higher ups didn't let the creators go crazy with the violence, or the PG-13 rating had to stick so that they could get more money, the movie ended up just feeling a bit emptier. I need that extra to really cement this into the annals of horror history. That being said, there is so much to love about this movie, with the design of the villain, her lore, and most importantly, the score, which is amazing and unsettling. As a kid, I was truly scared of the Blood Countess. That's the main villain. Just look at her. She is either inspired by or directly influenced by Queen Elizabeth, who was known as Bloody Mary from the vast amounts of persecuted Protestants that were killed horrifically. I remember doing a lot of research because I found the Countess to be so interesting and thought it was real back then. Having her as the villain with so much history behind her gives the movie an urban legend vibe. We only really get some lines from one of the characters, October.
So you really think her ghost could have been brought back from the dead?
Hutch, it's like a seance. A strong enough spirit can be brought back with the proper text.
For expository reasons. It's a shame that for most of the movie, she only appears in her game version, like when she ends up killing October. I say it's a shame, as her real counterpart is amazing with great costume design and makeup. If the movie really focused on her just being a villain and haunting them instead of the forced video game inclusion, I think we would give more respect to this movie as a whole. Like, look at the scene so you can understand where I'm coming from. I also love that there's a game mechanic that works in the movie that helps the characters survive instances that they would otherwise be dead in. There's this rose the characters drop, and if they do, any harm around them will disappear, giving them another opportunity to survive. It's used sparingly and wisely in this movie, so it doesn't feel like a Deus Ex Machina. It's well incorporated. But my favorite part of this movie is the score. I have a soft spot for this movie, and it's because of nostalgia, of course, but mainly due to the soundtrack that it offers. There's a softness to it with its light piano touch and violin strings. A good example is Miller's Body or The End of October Part 3. For some reason, every time I hear it, it just takes me back to when I was a kid and the first time I watched this movie and that time period of my life. I was just a little boy in my grandma's room watching this on her TV, probably on Showtime or HBO whenever it would air. Then in more intense scenes, there's this electric guitar or whatever this is. And it's done so well and it feels very unique. I just love violins and this score does a good job of incorporating them in a horror setting. I love horror movies and I love mid horror movies. And this is just another great example. If you want to see, you should see it for yourself. I implore you to watch it as it's so much fun, sometimes scary, a lot of times cliche, and most of the time, very, very mid, but in the best way possible. You can watch this with your full attention or half your attention or even the slightest bit of your attention and still get the gist of the movie. And what more do you want from a movie than that? Yeah, Bad Ideas Production. Peace out.